Welcome to 10-Minute Zuimonki. One day Dōgen taught, saying, when a person is born into a particular household and enters a particular profession, he must first learn and master the work that belongs to that place. It is inappropriate to spend one's time studying and practicing things that lie outside its scope and are not part of its path. Now, you who have left home, entered the Buddha family and taken up the life of a monk, should learn the customs of this place. To follow the etiquette of the monastic life, you must first let go of attachment to yourself and follow the guidance of a good spiritual friend. Above all, you must forget your own interests. To do this, you must first separate yourself from the self, and to separate yourself from the self, contemplate impermanence. This is the most important thing to which you should pay attention. Ordinary people are constantly concerned with what others think of them. They want to be admired, respected, and spoken of well, but such a wish can never truly be fulfilled. As attachment to yourself gradually weakens, and as you follow the words of a good teacher, you will naturally make progress. Even if you acknowledge that the teacher is speaking the truth, if you cannot let go of certain attachments and continue practicing according to your own preferences, clinging to yourself, you will move backward rather than forward. Above all, remember this. If you wish to become genuine Zen monks, you should devote yourselves wholeheartedly to seated meditation. Do not concern yourselves with whether you are capable or incapable, intelligent or dull. If you practice Zazen, you will naturally become better and better. In today's passage, Dōgen addresses a problem that lies at the heart of spiritual practice. The problem is not lack of intelligence. It's not lack of ability or opportunity. The problem is our attachment to ourselves. Dōgen begins with a simple observation. Whenever someone enters a profession, they first learn the skills and customs that belong to that profession. A carpenter learns carpentry. A physician learns medicine. A musician learns music. No one becomes skilled by ignoring the discipline of the path they have chosen. Dōgen then applies this principle to Buddhist practice. He says that those who have left home and entered the Buddha family should learn the customs of the way. That sounds straightforward enough. But then Dōgen tells us what the most important issue is. Not meditation techniques, not Buddhist philosophy or rituals. The most important thing is learning to let go of attachment to yourself. This is a theme that appears again and again throughout Dōgen's teaching, and yet it is easy to misunderstand. When Dōgen speaks about letting go of the self, he is not asking us to hate ourselves. He is not asking us to deny our individuality, or to become passive or insignificant. Dōgen is pointing to something much more ordinary. He says that people are constantly concerned with what others think of them. They want to be admired, respected, praised. They want others to have a good opinion of them. If we are honest, most of us recognize this tendency in ourselves. We care about our reputation, and we care about how we appear. We also care about whether people approve of us. Sometimes we even shape our behavior around these concerns without realizing it. The problem is that this kind of self-concern never comes to an end. No matter how much praise we receive, it is never quite enough. No matter how many people approve of us, someone always disapproves. The mind keeps looking for reassurance, and because of that, it never settles. Dōgen says something very striking. Such a wish can never truly be fulfilled, he says. In other words, if our happiness depends upon what other people think of us, we are building our lives on unstable ground. Opinions change, circumstances change, people also change. The approval we receive today may disappear tomorrow. That is why Dōgen tells us to contemplate impermanence. At first, this may seem unrelated. What does impermanence have to do with self-attachment, we might think? For Dōgen, everything. When we deeply understand impermanence, we begin to see how fragile all our attempts to secure ourselves really are. Fame is impermanent, praise is impermanent, status is impermanent. Even this body is impermanent. Everything we cling to eventually changes, and recognizing this can be surprisingly liberating. Instead of spending our lives trying to protect an image of ourselves, we can devote ourselves to something more meaningful. Practice. This is why Dōgen repeatedly emphasizes the importance of relying on a good teacher. A teacher helps us see the places where self-attachment still operates. The difficulty, however, is that we often prefer our own opinions. Even when we admit that the teacher may be right, we hold on to our preferences. We think, yes, but I would rather do it my way. And Dōgen says that this is where progress stops. Not because the teacher is always right, but because attachment to our own views prevents us from learning. A person whose cup is already full cannot receive anything new. Then Dōgen comes to the heart of the passage. He says, "Do not concern yourselves with whether you are capable or incapable, intelligent or dull." This is a remarkably compassionate teaching. Many people hesitate to practice because they doubt themselves. They may think, I'm not disciplined enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not suited for Zen practice. But Dōgen dismisses all of these concerns. The question is not whether you are talented, the question is whether you practice. He says that if you devote yourself to just sitting, you will naturally improve. Notice the simplicity of this. He doesn't say, first become wise, then meditate. He doesn't say, first become a better person and then practice. Dōgen says, simply practice. The transformation comes through practice itself. And this reflects one of Dōgen's deepest convictions. We do not practice because we are already awakened. We practice because practice itself is the expression of awakening. The way is not something that appears after years of perfect preparation. The way unfolds through the very act of practicing. So perhaps the central message of this passage is this. Stop worrying so much about yourself. Stop measuring yourself. Stop comparing yourself. And stop asking whether you are good enough. Instead, remember impermanence. Listen to the guidance of good teachers. And devote yourself wholeheartedly to practice. Dōgen's confidence is extraordinary. He does not say that some people can do it and others cannot. He says that if you practice sincerely, the way will take care of itself. Thank you for listening. Until next time.